pretty, pretty, shiny, shiny, pretty, pretty, shiny, shiny, pretty, pretty, shiny, shiny, pretty, pretty, shiny, shiny,
pretty,
pretty, shiny, shiny, pretty, pretty, shiny, shiny, pretty, pretty, shiny, shiny, pretty, pretty, shiny, now she pretty, pretty, shiny. Brockhampton has announced their new album is going to be called Iridescence and it's coming out this September. And I had a few thoughts and theories about this name for this album. So first of all, the name itself, what I found interesting about it was the fact that the definition of iridescence is the phenomenon of certain surfaces that appear to gradually change color as the angular view or the angle of illumination changes. And so we can relate that to Brockhampton and how they've had to go through some significant changes. Well, most particularly having to get rid of Amir Van, unfortunately, messed up their chemistry and they had to rework everything, and it was a surprise. It was something unexpected. And so now Iridescence, I think, is going to be a full-length version of them without Amir. I think that the Best Years of Our Lives, they intended to be an album, but what happened was it became sort of an EP of sorts, with them releasing only 3 songs, and the 4th one I want to say is a part of it, but I can't remember what it's called. But I'm just thinking in terms of the years: 1999 Wildfire, 1998 Truman, and 1997 Diana. These songs effectively gave us a preview of how Brockhampton would be operating now, and it's going to be interesting to see how they do a full-length project without Amir. Now that we've gotten a taste of it as fans, I think what'll happen is we'll be able to finally see them with a full project. And even Kevin Abstract talked about how he struggled to make an album. You can obviously reference the line on 1997 Diana and say, well, see, he did say he got 5 albums in his brain. But I'm pretty sure that the Amir Van situation took a toll on all of the members, and most likely Kevin the most, because I believe that Kevin and Amir were very close, like they were best friends. And so, having to lose someone like that due to what happened is probably going to have an adverse effect. And to be a creator and have to go through that, but then also have that pressure of having to drop music because you said you were going to do this, but it's this. Being a creator is incredibly difficult. So not only can you look at the angle that Brockhampton is going to be coming from, that we're looking at them from a different angle without one of their prominent members now, and then on top of that, the other part of it, talking about how it's sort of similar to Stars, their stardom has effectively put them in the limelight, and now what's happening is their fans are wondering how these stars are going to respond to this. How will they come back? And like I said prior, the Best Years of Our Lives, which is basically an EP, was a preview of that. And so I think Iridescence is going to be a complete shift. I don't think it's going to necessarily be the Best Years of Our Lives. I think it's going to be a complete shift. Something else interesting to point out was the picture that they have for the promo art that they have of Iridescence. There is a really, 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 really tiny inscription of some sort of words. Luckily, since the Twitterverse is strong, somebody actually managed to translate it. The hardest thing to do is to be true to yourself, especially when everybody's watching. This again feeds into the stardom narrative of Brockhampton's almost meteoric rise. Now, they're not like cult status, they're not incredibly huge to the point like everybody knows them, but they have a significant fan base that is only growing by the day. And so with Iridescence, you're looking at how they're going to respond to their situation towards the public musically. How are they going to show them? And most likely with everybody watching, everybody has a certain expectation of them, but the pressure on them to try and fulfill that may not necessarily mean that they get to be their best selves, their true selves. I'm pretty sure Dom at times when he's been on Twitter talked about how he'd rather not be on social media as much because it feels exhausting to him. When you're a celebrity or you're any kind of famous person, you have a bit of pressure on you to fulfill a certain role, a certain expectation of how people see you. And here, Brockhampton knew that they wanted to drop music, but it also felt like there was a bit of pressure from everybody else. And again, as a creator, you're trying to come up with unique ideas consistently in a generation where it's almost difficult to really keep people's attention locked on to something for too long because the next new thing is right behind it. So you're constantly chasing people's attention on top of that. As a celebrity, you have to be more careful about what you say because it can affect literally everything in your life. So you have to almost end up playing a role. So everybody watching almost restricts you. And here we're going to see how Brockhampton responds to that with everything that's happened so far. I think Iridescence is going to be really good, not only because I've come to expect that from Brockhampton and I've come to know that from Brockhampton. Most notably, Kevin talked about how in Europe, it really helped. In London, it says made in London, but he also talked about how, like, basically when they were overseas, or they've been overseas, they found that inspiration that most likely may have been lost in trying to figure out how to operate after a mirror. And so what'll be fun is to see them at their peak enjoyment, because I think as a creator you have to remember to have fun, because if you don't have fun, it'll show in any kind of work, not even just creation, but any kind of work where you're doing anything. If you don't have the motivation, you're not most likely going to do the bare minimum versus what you could have done had you been properly motivated or properly excited. When you are excited about talking about something, you will come up with more details and you'll be more animated, versus if there's something you don't really want to talk about, you'll be guarded or you'll just avoid it altogether. I think Iridescence will be them coming together and finally able to make something that they feel satisfied with, that they feel that they put not only effort, but they put their heart, their soul into it, and they put their happiness into it. They had fun making it, and I think that London helped them find that. However that was, I don't know, but like I say, Iridescence coming out this September. I am excited for it. I definitely cannot wait, and I would love to probably talk about it, but we don't know what day it's coming out. So I know some people are doubting if it's going to even come out at all just because they've been going through a lot of changes, but I think that can easily be attributed to the fact that they were going through a rough time and they were making music, but it was clear that they were testing the waters and they sort of were almost ready, but they weren't fully ready. And Iridescence is them saying, okay guys, we're ready now. We're going to make an actual whole album. So with that said, we're done. Well, this guy says, even though team effort can sometimes be fruitful and plentiful, the best years of our lives are sometimes spent on our own in new places, feeling like a puppy with only a pencil to our name in these foreign new worlds. But we can forge greatness, and sometimes the iridescence of it all may strike us as beautiful and exciting. And hopefully, we take this opportunity to become better than what we were yesterday, because you can achieve whatever it is you choose to achieve. I believe in you.